Pro Wrestling Weekly presents Today in Wrestling History, June 16. On this date in 1993, WCW held its Clash of the Champions 23 Supercard. In the main event, Ric Flair and Arn Anderson defeated Steve Austin and Brian Pillman in a 2 out of 3 falls match for the NWA and WCW World Tag Team Championship. Because Barry Windham interfered for disqualification, the titles did not change hands. On this date in 1997, WWE Monday Night Raw aired live from Lake Placid, New York. In the main event, Farouk and Kama Mustafa defeated Ahmed Johnson and The Undertaker in a tag team match. On this date in 2004, TNA held its 98th weekly pay-per-view. In the main event, Bobby Roode, Eric Young, and Petey Williams defeated Chris Sabin, Elix Skipper, and Jerry Lynn in a 6-man flag match. This has been Today in Wrestling History, June 16. Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Derry back here with you, talking all kinds of stuff in an abbreviated fashion. Only got about a little less than 10 minutes left as we've got Phillies and Blue Jays pregame, or Phillies on deck, I should say, coming up at 12:30 for a 107 first pitch north of the border in Canada. Well, taking a look at No Way Out tomorrow, we've got only 5 matches advertised, and of course there's probably going to be some bonuses added on there. But you've got the pre-show match of Brodus Clay against David Otunga. Not a shock that I think the Funkasaurus is going to win that one, to say the least. And this is an interesting one that kind of developed this past Monday, and there were a couple of these that developed this past Monday because, well, of all the roster turnover that's happened over the course of the last few weeks. I mean, suspensions to Jericho, Randy Orton, and now injuries to R-Truth, Alberto Del Rio. So they've had to do a little bit of scrambling, but for one of the rare times since you got to go all the way back to the like mid-'90s with Harvey Whippleman and Howard Finkel, you're going to see a tuxedo match on tomorrow's No Way Out pay-per-view. That's right. Santino Marella against Ricardo Rodriguez. Of course, Ricardo, the announcer for Alberto Del Rio. Thanks to some events that occurred this past Monday, following a tag match involving at least those two. A tag match, a mixed tag match involving Beth Phoenix, Ricardo Rodriguez, Santino Marella, and Layla. After the match, which Beth Phoenix and Ricardo Rodriguez won, Santino ripped at Rick Rod's tux shirt and revealed a Justin Bieber T-shirt underneath to the entertainment of the fans. And I don't know, like, does that make Ricardo Rodriguez a good guy, considering that they cater to kids, and I guess Justin Bieber's popular with the kids? I don't know. I can tell you the chart toppers from 40 years ago, but Bieber, not exactly my deal. I don't know. But, we've got that match going on. I think for that reason, I think Ricardo Rodriguez is going to win that one, although I think the fans are going to be the ultimate losers in that one, as tends to be the case when it comes to tuxedo matches. Layla against Beth Phoenix for the Divas Championship. I think Layla is going to hang on and continue to, as it seems like the Karma countdown clock is unofficially going on, waiting for Karma to return, of course, from her maternity and unfortunately miscarriage leave. You've got Christian against Cody Rhodes for the Intercontinental Championship. Of course, I think Christian's going to retain that, although that's going with my head as opposed to going with my heart, which would be Cody Rhodes. But I think Christian's going to retain here, much to pretty much to answer John's question who's throwing on here. With Christian making an in-ring appearance at TNA Slammiversary, will his Intercontinental title reign end due to that? As much as I'd like to think so, I'm going the other way with it. I think for whatever reason, Cody Rhodes has been on a losing streak, and something tells me that it's going to continue here. Then, of course, you've got John Cena and The Big Show in a steel cage match. If The Big Show loses, then John Laurinaitis is fired. For that reason, I think that The Big Show is going to beat John Cena and kind of continue the losing ways, for the most part, that Cena's had going all the way back to WrestleMania with The Rock. And because I obviously can't count 6 matches, not 5, of course you've got the WWE Championship match. I guess my page got cut off here. Yeah, of course. You've got the WWE Championship match, Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, and Kane in a triple threat match for the WWE Championship. I think somehow, I don't know how, I guess the big question is what direction is AJ going in, because she's kind of shown allegiances and alliances with all three men. But I think she's going to end up back with Daniel Bryan and help Bryan win the title off of CM Punk. And then, of course, you've got the World Heavyweight Championship, the match that was initially supposed to be Alberto Del Rio and Sheamus. But, of course, with Alberto Del Rio's concussion, they had to have a four-way match on Raw, four-way elimination match, including four former world champions of Dolph Ziggler, Jack Swagger, the Great Khali, and Christian. And Dolph Ziggler ended up winning that and is now the number one contender. And call it a hunch. I don't know why, but I think this WWE's hand is kind of forced a little bit where they have to elevate somebody, and it looks like this is the time for Ziggler, even though I know it's kind of on a throwaway pay-per-view. I think Ziggler is going to take it and beat Sheamus for the title, setting up a rematch, possibly for Money in the Bank. But that's getting a little bit ahead of myself. So we've got Brodus Clay, Ricardo Rodriguez, Layla, Christian, The Big Show, Daniel Bryan, and Dolph Ziggler. There are your picks for tomorrow's No Way Out lineup. Now, we've already, even as the half hour is going on, we've gotten a lot of Facebook feedback, and yes, and also some news and notes, and John from the Northeast is kind of combining the two. One of the big notes from this past Thursday's Impact Wrestling, Chris Sabin making his comeback after tearing his ACL and being out for the last year or so, only to compete in the Ultimate X match against Austin Aries and Zema Ion for the X Division title. And during the match, he tore the ACL in his other knee, and he's got another long road to recovery. Very frustrating for one half of the Motor City Machine Guns, Chris Sabin. Rather unfortunate. John also chiming in, the WWE roster is just as beaten up and injured as the Phillies roster. The problem is the WWE didn't just put Chooch on the DL. Little bit of Phillies humor in there. Mike, of course, chiming in, I have a feeling that McMahon is going to screw over Cena at No Way Out. Just got that feeling. I don't know. Do you think this is this is kind of the new generational Montreal? That's of course, I don't know what has been visited more, Montreal or ECW revivals? Because I see on here Joseph chiming in with someone let ECW die already, which I don't necessarily agree with. That's because I don't want Paul Heyman coming after me, kind of like he did Dan. And also the other incident from the end of Impact, of course, Sting talking about being a Hall of Fame inductee. Three masked men ran in and attacked Sting to kind of have a little bit of a hook for the end of the program. And Dan chiming in from Chicago, 3 black scorpions, LOL, I love Impact Live. So at least it's getting some sort of a reaction. That's certainly a positive. And Ross from the Minnesota Wrecking Crew chiming in, Damian Sandow equals worst Hunter Hearst Helmsley ripoff ever. I don't know about that. I almost think if he's going for anything as far as a ripoff, I mean, with the robe and whatnot, I'd almost lean more toward the Genius. He's kind of like a hybrid of Lanny Poffo's character, the Genius, from back in the late 80s, early 90s, and a little bit of Hunter Hearst Helmsley thrown in there as well. So it's I think it's more of like, I don't know, 65% Genius, 35% Hunter Hearst Helmsley. And I don't know. I think Hunter Hearst Helmsley was probably the worst Hunter Hearst Helmsley. I mean, any ripoff is probably better than what he was necessarily doing. And the more we can stray away from that initial Greenwich Blue Blood character, the better. Because the first thing that pops into my mind is of course the Hog Pen match with Henry O. Godwin, if you remember that from back in late '95. But going back to the initial question, a couple of thoughts here on the Quinnipiac poll. Is WWE pornographic? As I've got about a minute here. Joseph chiming in, WWE isn't so much pornographic as it is problematic. You got to love how Vince buries almost his entire roster, especially the other half of their next pay-per-view main event. Yeah, there is that. And John chiming in, 10 to 15 years ago, I would have given a resounding yes in the Daniel Bryan-esque chants to this survey, but now the content is so bad, how can it be anything when no one is watching? So some scathing criticism, to say the least, of the product. I don't know. TNA's turning things around. That's certainly a positive. And we'll take a look a little bit more at that, and of course the issues with the WWE roster. We'll take a look at that as well. And ripping me off, Robin. Good job, John. Yes, always good for a laugh. We'll have the results to No Way Out. We'll take a look at the broken down WWE roster. I'll break it all down for you, and a whole lot more. Stay tuned. Phillies on Deck is next. I'll be back next week here on Pro Wrestling Weekly on 1490 WBCB.